The first breath of morning catches the mist on my lips. A taste of cold, green air curling along the edge of stone altars scattered across the mountain clearing. My boots crunch softly as I step forward, every movement slow as if time itself holds its breath. There's no human voice, no signal but the tremor in my chest whenever I trace the strange mark glowing at my throat, like someone's whispered a secret that only I can hear. I pause near the circle, heart thudding. I'm not alone. Across the clearing, figures emerge from the fog, one draped in thick braids of grass, another with beads clicking in the folds of a red sash. None of us speak at first. A woman presses her palm to her collarbone. The glyph faintly pulses blue where her fingers brush, matching the shimmer now dancing above my own sign. A young boy holds his scarf tight, eyes wide, searching the faces around the ancient fire pit. The first to step closer is an elderly man, cane tapping moss stone. He grins, a glimmer of something like relief shining in his gray eyes. "I kept dreaming cranes flying backward," he admits, voice rough. "Every time I woke, I heard someone calling to me by name. Haven't known peace since the last new moon." His words hang in the mist, as if the forest itself listens for the right cadence. The woman beside him shrugs, rolling a turquoise bead between her knuckles. "My father used to tell me, when your voice aches and your skin itches with music, destiny's close." She grins and winks at me. I thought he was just old. I knew he was right this morning. Another, tall, wrapped in a patchwork cloak, steps to the circle's far edge, quiet but certain. I never believed the stories, but when my shadow reached up and pulled me from bed, I walked here before I even knew I was leaving. His laughter is short, brittle, then lost as the wind surges through the trees. I open my mouth, wanting to explain the dreams, the sense of being tugged by invisible thread every night. Instead, a strange heat pulses along my throat, as if an echo vibrates where words cannot form. It feels like someone's always just behind my ear, I admit. Not chasing, but calling. I think I'd have come even if I was the only one. The boy finally speaks, voice barely above a whisper. "We're not supposed to know what happens here," he says, shifting his scarf. "But if you're marked, you can't help following the call." As our gazes settle into each other, the light shifts. Mist curls in new patterns around the altar. In the quiet, every heart hums with hope, confusion, and a longing not just to answer a call, but to imagine who or what might be waiting at the center of this ancient silence. The sun rises higher, scattering gold over stone, beads, and grass. My hand moves instinctively to my throat. The tingling returns, as if dusted by an invisible hand. No one speaks again, but every breath is a pledge. We have arrived, chosen or not, carried by the promise we half remember and wholly feel. In the clearing, morning settles, ripe with questions, as fate prepares to speak back in a way none of us yet understand. A soft breeze stirs the clearing as more healers appear, each carrying their own piece of doubt and tradition. An herbalist from the Andes pulls a pouch of dried leaves from her sash, fingers moving quickly as she murmurs, "They say this mountain wakes for prophecy, but every ritual I've known, someone always leads, someone always follows." She threads black beads onto a cord, her glance sweeping the group, not quite trusting what she sees. Near the altar, a Sufi mystic drapes a patchwork shawl over his shoulders, calling quietly. There is unity in silence and song, but who among us will voice the truth? Such gatherings, they stir things best left sleeping. He sets a copper bowl at his feet and lights a coil of resin, smoke curling blue, bitter and surprisingly sharp. A griot from West Africa lays his kalimba on the grass, the wooden tines clattering as he speaks. We gather stories, not for ourselves, but for what waits beyond. Yet I ask myself, how much power can a single voice wield? What if the echo is not for change, but for warning? His laughter is gentle but nervous, his eyes darting to the others for some sign of agreement. A Hawaiian kahuna slings a garland of braided grass over an arm, sizing up the group in one slow look. Mana moves through doubt as much as faith. Look, no one stands at the center, but no one has left either. That's the sign of a true question among us. She runs her thumb along a charcoal bowl, releasing feathery smoke, watching the shadows stretch and contract in the thickening morning light. I notice the smallest details: copper beads blinking in the sun, a talisman bound with crimson thread, the subtle way hands tense around ritual objects whenever the circle glances toward me. The Sufi's voice shakes as he asks, "Who are you here to protect? Each other, the old ways, or something even older?" The herbalist answers first, lips pursed. "I came to witness, but doubt walked with me." The griot shakes his head, laying his palm on the grass. "We're all pretending bravery." The kahuna cracks a half smile. Uncertainty is the first truth in any real rite. As we each prepare our own tools, beads, smoke, woven charms, unease flickers in every look. Each of us has scars, some worn openly, some hidden beneath carefully chosen sleeves. Our questions hang, unanswered, catching in the net of ritual between hope and suspicion. Someone finally mutters, "No voice changes fate alone, or are we here to find out?" Narration draws close. Beneath the surface chatter there's a wait, a waiting. Who will break the circle? Who will raise a voice that shifts not just the ritual, but the very meaning of old protection and new beginnings? For now, talismans rattle, beads gleam, and every sideways glance dares fate to speak through one of us, or perhaps all of us, before the day is done. Charcoal bowls send ribbons of smoke upward as the circle tightens, every healer in their chosen place. It's the griot who invites the song to begin, his thumb plucking a soft note on the kalimba, breath catching. "Let each offer a word before we make a chain," he suggests, nodding at the Sufi mystic. The mystic's voice tumbles out, a quiet phrase in Persian, then fades as the group slowly layers in chants and hums, each voice weaving against the next, a tapestry of languages and wishes tumbling through morning air. My hands tremble. Inside, the old mark throbs at my throat. The Sufi signals it's my turn, eyes steady, expectant. I open my mouth, breath shivering, but only silence emerges. A dense, electric stillness, not emptiness, but something charged, pulsing, alive. The ritual song halts. Every healer goes rigid, then steps quietly back in perfect, unplanned unison. For one suspended moment, even the birds outside stop singing. The blue flame in the central bowl snaps tall, then flickers, casting twisting shadows across the mossy ground. The Hawaiian kahuna drops her charm, pulse racing, as she looks right at me. Did you feel the ground move?" she whispers. The herbalist shudders, gripping her pouch. That wasn't a voice. That was old silence. It pushed through my bones. The Sufi's brow beads with sweat. "We invited a song, but the echo is choosing." The griot's thumbs freeze on the keys, head bowed. In the story, silence is called before awe. Only those marked ever bring such a hush. His fingers shake as he gathers his instrument. Narration slips through the charged air. I struggle to understand if I failed or simply surrendered to something greater. The circle remains open, every healer holding position but leaning back. A visible, primal response to whatever invisible threshold just broke loose. The blue flame gutters. Shadows ripple outward with every healer's retreat. Nothing quite returning to normal. My own heart pounds, not with shame, but with an odd certainty. The absence of my voice somehow became the center of the rite, the unspoken anchor everyone now orbits. In that quiver of silence, destiny tilts, and the ancient promise of protection stirs awake. Scattered winds carry word beyond the ritual clearing, drifting far over forests, ocean, and bustling city lights. In a red-dusted courtyard in Nigeria, guardians light pairs of candles, short, thick, and scarlet. Their leader traces a spiral into the melted wax. When sound leaves, light must answer. Hold the circle, and do not speak for what you don't know, she instructs, steady but anxious as her hands tremble over the flickering flames. Up in Tibetan mountains, novice monks sweep salt into delicate looped patterns, their brushes moving in silence. A senior monk raises his hand, pausing mid-chant. "Did you feel the quiet twist?" he asks, glancing at the sky. Today's silence was not emptiness, it was a sign. He bends low, sprinkling new salt over a seven-pointed star, and whispers a mantra forbidden except in times of crisis. In humid Mexico, curanderos huddle before a fire pit, drifting in and out of uneasy sleep. One old healer jerks awake, heart pounding, recounting the same dream repeated 3 nights. An endless hallway humming with a nameless chant, shadows racing ahead and then turning back with faces she almost recognizes. "I used to fear forgetting the words," she sighs, laying her hands across her chest. "But now I wonder what happens when none are left to speak." Rituals respond in their own way. Red wax drips down altar stones, marking each pause. In Tibet, a sudden churning wind sweeps away half-finished glyphs in sand. Mexican children sketch symbols on the steps with cornmeal, unsure why they feel drawn to repeat a pattern their grandparents never taught them. Across each culture, interpretation wavers, blessing, warning, invitation, or threat. Elders debate at the market's edge. Is this a new balance? In the monastery, a bell tolls out of sync, echoing a heartbeat that doesn't belong to any monk. Sleeping villagers in every time zone murmur, shivering with awe and dread, and the echo that began in one ritual now ripples outward, shifting what everyone believes about the world's old protections and the mysterious paths that bind them. Which ritual from your heritage feels most powerful in times of uncertainty? Tell us about it below. The world feels restless as night tilts, and the mark at my throat pulses faintly beneath my collar. I sit with the others near the altar stones, the blue flame now a memory and the charged silence from the ritual still coloring my every thought. My fingers brush the glyph at my neck, a flicker of warmth, memory stirring just under my skin. The herbalist breaks the lingering hush, voice low. Some signs don't come from outside. They bloom inside, then shape you. She nudges a small amulet toward me. Try it. I grip the stone, cool, rough, smooth at the edges. As I do, it glimmers just for an instant, a light no one else seems to see. I remember being a child, clutching river rocks and watching sunlight stutter through water. Sometimes voices would hum beneath the surface, whispering things I'd only understand later. The Sufi mystic observes my hesitation, then pours a cup of spring water. He says, "In old stories, the echo-born tasted prophecy, lines appearing on their tongues as the first truth. He offers the cup, his gaze searching. I sip, breath catching as tiny lines glimmer and fade across my tongue. Spirals, waves, the faintest memory of song. The griot leans in, curiosity bright as daybreak. Did you dream of water turning to glass? He asks, voice gentle. My grandmother used to say those marks are called to break the old mirror and see what others won't. In that moment, a vision flashes, a river freezing, then thawing beneath moonlight, ancestors gathered along the banks. I shudder, voice trembling as I admit. Sometimes I see the world stand still, like waiting to be sung awake. I thought it was just in me. The kahuna's lips curve in a knowing smile. No, it's in all who senses the edge. When old chaos tries to slip back, there must be one to hold it in the echo. An elder healer approaches, eyes clouded but kind. She lays her palm on my shoulder, the copper of her bracelet cool against my skin. To have this mark is to wake when others sleep. It is both a gift and a burden. Yours is not the first echo, but it may be the one to open the next path for us all. Narration threads soft and deep. The mark is recognition, not possession. Lines on skin, light in stone, and song in silence. All signs that what the ritual began is truly alive. A call to rediscover, awaken, and hold fast when fate leans close and the world waits for someone to rise, voice or no voice. My chest loosens with understanding. I am not broken. I am one bridge among many, chosen to echo what cannot be named, meant to break stillness when the world stands on the edge of sleep, and to listen when the next voice, marked or not, dares to answer. The air shifts as debate sparks around the broken circle, petals dropping quietly from a garland where the ritual hourglass ticks away, sand whispering against glass. I sense every glance thrown my way, each healer wrestling with uncertainty, annoyance, or fear. The Sufi mystic folds his shawl tighter, voice clipped. This must be a trial, ritual undone. Did you come here to break us, or to wake what we try to hold? The herbalist leans in, doubt sharpening her words. In mountain lore, the one who cannot sing often brings storms. Who lets silence rule the circle? Is it a flaw, or is it the change we keep denying? Her fingertips, still stained with sage, fidget against a faded talisman. What happens to our protection when the voice goes missing? A hush stretches as the griot looks at me, pain in his frown. Are you denying the old music by standing mute? Or is this silence the answer itself? He strums his kalimba gently, the notes heavy as rain. Last night I dreamed of a prisoner in a tower. Every attempt to shout brought only wind, but when she simply listened, the whole city turned toward her. My pulse pounds as I try to meet their gazes. I didn't choose to be voiceless. I felt something bigger, like words caught in my chest, like a wall that wouldn't give way. My throat aches, hands balled in my lap. But the echo, I heard it behind my ribs. I swear it didn't want to hurt you. The Hawaiian kahuna watches petals drop to the mossy earth. Old tradition says sometimes a circle isn't meant to stay whole. Maybe we're meant to let a break teach us. She draws the edge of her cloak over her shoulder, eyes shining. Narration filters in as flowers wilt on the altar, the hourglass's last grains slipping by. The circle's foundation trembles. Some argue for barring me from the next rite. Others insist what happened signals an overdue transformation, one not born from a single leader, but from allowing silence, error, even failure, to be honored as catalysts for new guardianship. A deep breath passes through all present as we look at each other differently, wondering, weighing, dreading what comes next. Outside the ring, winds gather. Inside, a decision must soon be made. Who dares stay, and who wards what remains when the sacred is questioned? Ritual, for now, remains uncertain, barely held together by sand, ash, and the raw hope that even when old songs fail, something true waits to be found in the unspoken space they leave behind. Sunlight dims as the wind shifts, carrying the last waft of burning sage over the fractured circle. In the hush, the griot discovers a hidden scroll tucked beneath his kalimba's case, its edges yellowed and curling. "There's something here. Old," he murmurs, drawing it out for the group to see. Skepticism and tension flicker in the Sufi's tight shoulders. "Secrets reveal themselves when we least want them," he whispers, tracing the faded spiral on the cover. The herbalist kneels by the altar, gently unfolding the parchment. Wisps of soot drift from an overturned candle, smearing one line of the fragile writing, yet a bold new symbol, sharply shaped in fresh ash, appears as her hand passes. Eyes widen as the healers crowd closer, every face painted by firelight and uncertainty. She reads aloud, voice quivering. "When the voice that is not voice echoes, the old barriers will tremble, step back, or step through." Silence deepens, thicker than before. The kahuna's brow furrows, knuckles white against her cloak. So, maybe what just happened wasn't wrong at all. Maybe it was the shift we've denied. She breathes. The Sufi stares into the shadow on the scroll, half warning, half invitation. But if it truly is a sign, his voice wavers, do we risk the circle or ourselves in answering? A thread of doubt runs under his words. Who will take the next step? Who will retreat? My heart hammers as I study the new symbol forming in the ashen smear. Not the mark from my throat, but something similar, spiraled twice, then broken open. Was this written for me, or for all who stand at boundaries the old words can't cross? I swallow hard, uncertain whether prophecy is a comfort or a further untying of everything stable. The herbalist touches my shoulder, cautious but present. Prophecies break silence for a reason. Our choice will echo whatever we decide. Petals drift down from her hand, lighting softly atop the scroll's edge. The group scatters slightly, each healer's gaze falling on both the dim symbols and the unlit space at the heart of the ritual, ground. We hesitate, not out of fear alone, but out of deep knowing. Every tradition spoke of the day the song would fail and silence would beckon a new protector forward. And as one last ember pops in the cold air, a single ambiguous thought echoes between us. Will we heed the unseen warning, step back in caution, or step through and transform, not just ourselves, but the very meaning of every ritual kept, every secret passed, and every barrier that now, quietly, begins to tremble? The air in the clearing chills as all eyes land on the ritual's center, a circle reformed by intention, now trembling on the edge of tradition and change. The Sufi's sandal presses deep into the moss, his breath ragged as he murmurs, "Every tale I know ends with guardians holding their ground, and yet now my bones urge me away." The herbalist's beads click together as she shifts from the circle. "We have always stepped forward," she says, voice thin. "But your silence sent us all back as if fate itself demanded it." I meet their gazes, feeling my throat close on words that will not form. I raise my palms, one hand trembling, the other open, hoping someone will understand that, even wordless, energy thrums stronger than before. The griot crosses his arms tight, the kalimba clutch echoing faint. "This is not exile but respect," he finally whispers. When the echo called, none of us dared fight it. Flowers brush my ankles as the group collectively steps away, moss disturbed by the synchronous retreat. The kahuna wipes sweat from her brow, eyes brighter now with awe than with fear. Every old song tells of moments when the line breaks, and new strength comes only if the chorus dares to listen first. She says softly to no one in particular, her fingers brushing the ritual clay at her side. A gust rushes through, sending blue petals spinning through parted cloaks and across the dewy grass. In the sudden hush, I realize something has flipped. Their step back did not sever the pattern, but marked a threshold. Those who would hold to the old ways now stand aside. Those open to uncertain promise remain, gravity pulling us toward a challenge that demands surrender more than song. Narration slips between our heartbeats. I don't know what comes next, only that silence isn't emptiness, but the gate itself. Energy pulses from the earth, meeting the sky where our voices failed. The circle isn't broken, just widened, and whether in reverence or in fear, every healer who stepped back made space for the echo, for what must rise next. As dawn edges in and feet settle nervously in moss, everyone holds their silence a second longer, eyes trembling not with defeat, but with the odd humility of witnessing an ancient boundary shift. A hush falls even deeper as I stand alone in the wide, empty ritual circle. Dew settles along my elbows, and the blue flame in the central bowl crackles weakly, as if uncertain how to burn without a chant to anchor it. I hear the retreating steps of the healers fade into the trees. No anger, just a respectful distance born of something larger than any fear. My chest tightens. For a moment, isolation stings sharper than before, wrapping my heart with guilt. The mist from the ground seems to lift in swirling ribbons, catching stray beams of morning light. It's then, with no voice left and no hand reaching for mine, that I sense them, figures blurred in the haze, ghostly visages, half shadows, half memory, flicker at the edge of the stones, faces I've never seen, but somehow know. Their mouths move in silent warning, their eyes kind with understanding that cuts deeper than reproach. One step closer, his outline pulsing with the subtle light of the moon on water. You are not the first to carry this, he intones, not aloud, but with a certainty that fills the space like low thunder. When silence falls and the old circle shatters, another awakens to call fate forward. I clench my fists, desperate to reply. It doesn't feel brave. It feels like I failed them, like the bond that protected everyone just broke. A woman's reflection appears beside him, silver hair swept by invisible wind. What feels like failure is transformation's gate, she replies, her hand tracing the air where my mark glows. The old chorus was not undone, but evolved. Sometimes the greatest ritual isn't sung, but endured in witness. Tiny motes of blue light gather at my fingertips, their glow pulsing in tune with my heartbeat. I breathe, grounding myself with new resolve. So, what do I do now? Remake what broke, or leave the silence whole? My question echoes only in the quiet, yet assurance stirs. One of the ghostly elders smiles, nodding. You already answered. By standing alone, you made space for truth no right can force. Watch and trust the echo to guide the voices yet to come. The splintered dawn rises slowly. Vapor forms brief, shifting faces above each stone before disappearing, their wisdom lingering in the soft light. I'm still alone, yes, but the burden has changed. Guilt softens, now a thread spun with hope. My chest fills with a new clarity. This isolation is not exile. but the seed of a transformation only real when something precious is risked. I step toward the center stone, motes circling my fingertips, ready at last to listen, not only for a song, but for what emerges when silence is finally owned. It begins as a solitary dream, a single rhythm threading through sleepless nights around the globe. In a cluttered London apartment, a young teacher wakes gasping, palm pressed to her throat, finding a faint blue mark too perfect to be a bruise. Across the sea in a busy Nairobi market, an orphan pauses amid the swell of voices, catching an echo that isn't street noise. He digs a blue ribbon from his pocket, remembering the day it tied itself to his wrist as if in greeting. In New Orleans, an elderly healer, her eyes clouded but sharp in memory, sits in the morning sun braiding scraps of sky-colored cloth. "You felt it too?" she asks a visiting child whose laughter skips, then stills at the echo of a phrase she cannot name. They nod, hearts pounding as if the old lullaby in their bones has finally found its second verse. The internet flickers with hidden messages, eyes waking at 3:33 a.m., dreams of circles broken and reformed, images of blue knots tied around lampposts and bicycle handles. A teacher reaches out in a forum, hesitant. "My students started drawing spirals after the storm. I thought it a game, but now they all tie blue thread to their pencils." Others reply, sharing pictures, fragments of dreams, pieces of song they can't forget. In every response, a question. Were you in the silence too? Did you step back, or feel pulled toward something waiting at the center? One by one, they recognize each other, not with certainty, but through a bond invisible, undeniable. Across continents, the lost gather. A lawyer in Cairo tracing thread through her keys, a musician in Seoul humming a tune no one taught him, a child in Rio whispering the phrase, "We are not alone," as she knots her shoelace with a scrap of blue. Some meet in person, some only in the borderless hush of digital connection, but all sense it, the pattern forming. A father ties a ribbon around his child's wrist before school, remembering an old family story about the voice that never sang, but still saved the village from the storm. An elder passes a strand to his apprentice, each person tying their own knot, tight, hopeful, marking a moment where one silence met another and did not break. The blue thread is no longer just a symbol, but a summons. To keep searching, to gather the scattered, to carry forward the echo left unfinished in the ritual. As the world tilts gently toward the next sunrise, each new watcher stands a little taller, guided by the link both fragile and unbreakable. A chain of hands, hearts, and echoes ready to join, ready to answer, and ready for the first time to see that what was silent alone can become a chorus together. Gray clouds coil above as the new watchers gather, some in forest clearings, some behind flickering screens, all with hearts thudding to the rhythm of something both remembered and completely new. The old circle reforms, but it's larger now. Children with blue knots on their wrists, elders with marks glowing faint beneath their skin, teachers, healers, and dreamers crowding close. There's no script, only instinct, a pulse that calls every voice toward the silent promise left at the ritual's center. I step into the circle's heart, every eye on me. I press my palms together, breathing in the electric hush, the hope and uncertainty that come whenever something cherished changes. The orphan from Nairobi nods encouragement. The teacher from London presses her fingers to her throat, matching my pulse. The elder healer's hands hover by my shoulders, her voice a low hum. Don't force it. Let the echo shape the note. I inhale, chest tight. The memory of mute silence presses close, but instead of fighting it, I let it fill me. My lips part, not for a song, but a breath that's half voice, half sacred hush. Out of that stillness, a sound rises, strange and beautiful, both human and deeper, as if thousands of unheard rituals have fused with the hush itself. As the sound grows, the circle swells. Some echo back with words, some with gentle tones, others just by pressing hands to chests, letting the resonance spread through skin and bone. The ground itself vibrates, matching our combined thrum, a dual hum of voice and silence blending together. Old wounds and traditions blur, replaced by this shared act, protecting, connecting, awakening not by dominance or by nostalgia, but by the willingness to join what once divided us. The orphan whispers, "Is this what it's like to sing with ancestors?" The teacher smiles through tears. "It's nothing I learned, but everything I needed." The blue thread glows in the light, wrapping every wrist and neck, a symbol now braided with living promise, not just inherited hope. Healers who once clung to the old ways step forward, not as judges, but as carriers of the torch, bowing, linking arms with the new. From here, the elder intones, every watcher shares the weight. The gift is not in who first sang or who fell silent, but in who gathered after the hush and turned it into harmony. As the last note fades, half sound, half echo, the air settles, thick with change. The circle does not close, it expands, boundaries softer, courage stronger, and the song of silent and voiced protection rings out into the world, carried by every hand joined, every blue thread tied, every watcher willing now to listen, and finally, to answer. Candlelight softens the dusk as the new circle holds its breath. Watchers young and old, each marked in their own way, gathered around a spiral-shaped vessel at the heart of the clearing. My fingers brush the amulet at my throat. Even now, the echo of our shared song lingers, pulsing between voice and silent promise. The elder healer kneels beside me, tipping warm wax over the rim of the vessel. Instead of pooling in old channels, it maps new paths, curving, branching, joining, until the surface glows with change. The child in the group giggles, a clean, bright sound that skips across every shadow. "We finished the song, didn't we?" she asks, eyes wide, hope blooming in her smile. The orphan, fiddling with the blue thread on his wrist, grins back. "No, we started a new one," he replies, letting his knot rest atop the wax, weaving his story into the vessel for the next hands to find. The kahuna, once mistrustful, now sits with shoulder touching the Sufi mystic. "It all changed, didn't it?" she murmurs. "What we keep won't be secrets anymore, but lights along the way." The Sufi nods, gazing into the vessel's spirals. Sometimes, legacy is less about what you inherit, and more about having the courage to give it away. Across the group, each person says the word for home or memory, letting the echoes ring out gentle and true. I help the child drizzle the last wax, shaping the final curve along the edge. In that moment, I realize I'm no longer defined by the silence or the voice, but by the bridge we created. Mentor, yes, but also student, witness, soul among many. The watchers gather close, arms linked, offering laughter as the vessel cools and catches the last gold of evening. As the story closes, my gaze lingers on the vessel, a living record, not of perfection, but of all the hands willing to pass the flame, and all the echoes left behind in love and trust. This time, every changing pattern is meant to be shared, never hidden, always pointing toward the next waking voice. What memory or tradition from your journey would you share to light the way for others? Write it in the comments. Ash settles along the edge of the circle as dusk deepens and silence thickens in the clearing. I kneel beside the spiral vessel, watching as the last watcher ties a blue knot around the handle, a sign from every journey gathered, not to bind the past, but to mark a new beginning. My hands tremble, uncertain, but this is a different kind of fear, a hope stirred by the unknown, charged and alive. I meet the gazes of those now beside me, the orphan with his ribbon, the teacher carrying old dreams, the healer whose laughter is full and free. Their trust is quiet but present, their eyes shining with the courage it takes to stand at the border of mystery and not demand answers. My breath steadies. We've carried old protection, sung new songs, but the real test, I say, voice low, real, is what we'll do when the next call finds us waiting. The elder bows her head. Every echo follows another, she murmurs. Your path won't look like ours. Let change guide you, and don't close the circle. Leave the vessel, the thread, and your courage at the threshold for who comes after. I rise and turn outward, palms open, ritual tools resting at my feet. The watching circle is both family and challenge now, each person's willingness to listen more precious than certainty. Cosmic gates, I say quietly, don't open for the brave. They open for the listening. Let this echo belong to any soul who needs it. Slowly, I step back, fingers outstretched in welcome to the darkness, no longer shielded by rites, but guided by trust in every uncertain step. I glance once at the vessel, wax running in the patterns we made, the last of the evening sun glinting across its curves. I face the unknown, knowing that silence and song will always return for a new beginning. I am not the end. I am the invitation. If this journey stirred something in you, whether memory, hope, or quiet courage, subscribe for more mysteries, and share. What sign or ritual waits for you just beyond the next threshold?